As of recording this video, there are over 4,400 Nintendo Switch games you can buy. So to help you decide which Nintendo Switch games you should buy first, today we're going to go through the best 10 Nintendo Switch games you can buy right now, in my humble opinion. So before we go into the list, why don't we go through the criteria I set to even make it to this list? First of all, the game has to offer good value for money. This can either be a game that has a ton of content on launch, meaning that you can already get a huge amount of content out of it, or this can be a game that has plenty of updates coming or events that mean you constantly keep on coming back to the game and will be continuing to do so in 2023. Because of when I am recording this, there is going to be no mention of any of the Pokemon games in this list whatsoever. This doesn't mean that I don't love Pokemon Sword and Shield and Pokemon Arceus, but we are just 1 week away from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and whilst I'm pretty certain this game's going to be fantastic, I don't want to jinx it, and I think it's unfair to put a game that isn't out yet on the list. But we can have it as a disclaimer, Pokemon Sword and Shield and Pokemon Arceus I absolutely adore. I've had the best of time with both of them for different reasons, but the Pokemon community tends to just move along with every new release and leaves the previous game behind. So that's why they're not on the list. I'm also kind of looking for a game to have an emotional hold on me. Many games on the Switch are great, but to me, to be a fantastic game that deserves the top 10 title, the game needs to have some sort of emotional pull on me, or a moment in the game that will stick with me. Something I'll remember long past the lifespan of the console. Like for me, this can be moments like when you see Zelda fully break down in Breath of the Wild, or the first time I saw shooting stars in Animal Crossing. I'm also including games that make memories. Games that you play with friends and family, and although you might not remember the in-game moment well, you will always remember the fun you had with your loved ones playing it. At least for me, those are the memories that stuck with the Wii, and those are the memories I'm looking to make on the Switch as well. But before we do the list, why don't we start off with some honourable mentions? For whatever reason, these games will not make the top 10 list, but they were close and I think they deserve to be mentioned. Or is this just me copping out of being able to pick just 10 favourites? You'll never know. We've already mentioned Pokemon, they're definitely honourable mentions, both Arceus and Sword and Shield. But another game that didn't quite make the list, but is absolutely incredible, is Octopath Traveler. This didn't quite make the list due to a sequel coming out next year, and a few things that it lacked to really make it top 10 material. But even so, this game is incredible and the pixel art is stunning. As it's just an honorable mention, we won't spend too long on this game, but basically you follow 8 different people on their separate adventures. Every character is varied, but all of them are voice acted to perfection. My only flaw with this game, and the reason why it wasn't quite top 10 material, was that the characters really didn't interact that much with each other. But other than that, the turn-based combat was so much fun to get to grips with, and the boss battles were probably some of the most epic battles I have ever done. And this was mainly because of the music. The different abilities of each of the characters' jobs kept the game fresh, and it never really felt that grindy, as if you were underleveled for one person's story, you could literally just go and do someone else's. And despite the stories not really overlapping, I was very much invested in everyone's individual journey. Now, before we get to the top 10, I just want to thank today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for anyone who loves learning and wants to explore their creativity and learn new skills, allowing you to invest in yourself and your personal growth, which is made even easier by the fact that it's ad-free so you can stay focused, and there's new classes added each week, so there's always something new to learn. This month I've been trying to be more productive, so I wanted to learn how to use my time better so I can actually end up going to bed at a reasonable time every night. This month I've been really enjoying the classes called Real Productivity: How to Build Habits That Last by Thomas Frank. One particular part of the class that really spoke out to me was about how perfectionism can hurt you. And I also love the fact that he talks you through how to set good goals and then how to reach them. Going into the new year, this is something I desperately needed. And the first 1,000 people to use my link down below will get 1 free month to Skillshare. Thank you again for sponsoring the video. Right, on to the top 10. These are in no particular order because I couldn't rank them even if I wanted to. We have Fire Emblem Three Houses. Whilst there is another Fire Emblem game coming out in early 2023, It's not related to this game whatsoever, so I still feel okay to recommend it. There's only one real way to describe this game, and it's emotional damage in the best possible way. If you're looking for an incredible story, animated and voiced to perfection, this is definitely your game. It's set in a land separated into 3, each with their own leaders, all currently attending the same school. And you've been brought on as a teacher who gets to decide which of the leaders' houses you wish to teach. And by teach, I mean lead into battle. Seeing as this is a tactical RPG, each battle is done using a turn-based mechanic. But seeing as this is a Fire Emblem game, it puts a nice little twist in this old mechanic. The standard mode of this game has permadeath, meaning if one of your students don't make it back from battle, that's it, you never see them again. However, if that's not your style, you can also turn that setting off. This makes you feel like you know each and every one of them on a personal level, which therefore means taking them into battle is all the more nerve-wracking. If you're interested in more than battling though, between battles you get to run around the school, befriending them, helping them out with different quests, and even romancing them. This to me has one of the best stories on the entire Nintendo Switch. And what makes it even better is that the story has multiple endings. The decisions you make determines which ending you get, which means there's tons of replay value because not only will you want to get all the endings, you can also be a teacher of each of the different houses to get to know every single student in the game more. One of the decisions I had to make was so difficult, I ended up closing my Switch and having to sleep on it to think about it more. One single playthrough in this game took me about 70 hours, so you are guaranteed to get your money's worth out of the game. Next, on the top 10 games on the Nintendo Switch, is a classic. We all knew it was coming. Animal Crossing New Horizons. I have over 2,000 hours in this game and no regrets. This is the perfect game for the days where you don't really feel like doing anything. You can just boot it up, run around the game and get your daily dose of your villagers being absolutely adorable. Except Diva. She is the devil. And this to me is the perfect game to play after you've had a long day. You can do whatever you want in the game. You can decorate, catch bugs, chill at your villagers' houses, or just grab a cup of coffee at Brewster's. It's one of those life sims where each day is what you make it. This is a game I feel like literally everyone can enjoy, no matter your age, no matter your interests. It truly is a game for everyone. My mum bought an entire Switch just to play New Horizons, and she still loves it and still plays it to this day. I'm also pretty sure she might have more hours in the game than I do. And honestly, one of my favorite things about New Horizons is it always makes me feel productive. If you've only picked up 2 weeds, that's fine. It's more than literally every other villager in the entire game. Contributed 200 bells to a bridge, that's fine, because Diva over there has contributed literally nothing. So far, I'm yet to find a game that even compares to the feelings I had early on in my first playthrough. The wholesome vibes of New Horizons on the Switch are currently still to this day unmatched. And although there are no more updates left for this game in the future, it's still something I end up going back to. And it's a game you can definitely get your money's worth out of. Next on my list is a game you're probably not expecting, and that's Xenoblade Chronicles 3. A game I have a disgusting amount of hours in. But also, again, no regrets. I feel like not enough people are saying good things about this game, and I was honestly torn as to whether I put in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 or 3. In the end, I kind of went with 3 because some of the things in the story that happened are gonna stay with me a while. And this has to be one of my favorite JRPGs on the Nintendo Switch. When I say the story got to me, I was literally on the settee, wrapped up on the couch, full on blubbering, like making whale noises blubbering, trying to get through some of the cutscenes. They absolutely broke me. In a good way, obviously, but still broke me. And if you're new to the series, then the third one is a great game to start on, as although there are Easter eggs and references to the previous 2, it's also its own contained story. The combat is honestly so unique, but I had a great time learning to get to grips with it, and the world is so much fun to explore. It's on a scale I don't think any other Nintendo Switch game could ever imagine being. The game sees you put on the world of Ionios, a war-torn world where people are born to do just one thing: fight. In fact, they need to fight to survive, with each of the factions' power stemming from the flame clocks, which are charged up by death. You follow a group of people who discover there may be more to their 10-year lifespan than just fighting. The story is absolutely wild, and even me describing it doesn't even do it justice. And I couldn't predict what each chapter had in store for me. Most of the main story is carried out in cutscenes that are not only beautifully voice acted, but wonderfully animated as well. The one thing I don't understand about this game is everyone was criticizing the accents. As a Brit, I thought the British accents were pretty legit. They were just from all parts of the UK. We have a very diverse dialect, what can I say? And although there were some very corny lines that made me pull some faces, there were also some beautifully written moments. And yes, at some points the graphics are questionable, but I love this game dearly and it has a special place in my heart. But just a quick disclaimer before you go out and buy it, this game deals with topics such as your own mortality and that kind of theme, so just make sure you're in a good place to play it before you buy it. Next is a game you're gonna roll your eyes at because I'm saying it again and it's No Man's Sky. We're gonna be brief though, I've mentioned it in my 2 last videos, but man, I love this game and it's such a good port. Honestly, if you're looking for value for money, then look no further than No Man's Sky. For this game is the definition of endless fun, because space literally never ends. You literally just fly around and explore each of the unique planets there is to offer. And so far in my 30-ish hours, I've been delighted by the variation of planets I've seen. Between the main story, the base building, exploring, and fleshed out side quests, there's literally never a boring moment and you always have something more you could be doing. And there's even plenty of game modes to tailor the experience specifically for what you're looking for. Don't want to fight anything, don't want to die, that's fine. Put creative mode on and go live your best life. Want a really hardcore experience? We got you. You can put on permadeath, so if you die, you lose everything. If you play that mode, you're braver than I am. Next is Mario Party Superstars. I was debating between this and Nintendo Switch Sports, but honestly, every Christmas, the game we always go back to is Mario Party. And to me, this is Nintendo at its best. Good family fun. And to me, Christmas would not be complete without at least one family game. To me, the thing I love so much about Mario Party is that you don't need to be a gamer to play this, have fun, and even stand a chance of winning. It's guaranteed to have the whole family laughing and even pleading with one another to protect your stars. For those unfamiliar, it's basically a board game, but at the end of each round you compete in mini games that give you bonus coins to allow you to buy stars. And whoever has the most stars at the end of the game wins. But unlike Monopoly, there is a random aspect of bonus stars. This can be for anything like the most amount of tiles cleared, most amount of mini games won, literally anything. And the nice thing about that is it means there's normally no upsets whatsoever when the winner is announced, as it's literally out of your hands. I have so many great memories associated with playing this game with my whole family, and many more to come. It is a great game, especially to play at Christmas. Next, we have Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Now, you know a game is good when your main fault with it is that it's not long enough. First of all, this game is absolutely gorgeous, and to me is one of the best looking games on the Switch right now. You play as Kirby and explore this stunning world, getting around by copying the abilities of your enemies, and even objects, sometimes questionable objects. There's a series of different worlds you can visit, each just as diverse as the last, with every area having a boss battle waiting for you at the end. And I never thought I'd say this, but to me the boss battles were some of my favourite battles. And I'm not normally a person who enjoys boss battles, but I actually did enjoy these. There's also plenty to do if you're a collector, with achievements to hit in each level and timed courses to try and beat too. In addition to all of this, there's also a main town that as you progress through the story you can upgrade and get new buildings. There's also even a host of different mini-games to play. This to me is the definition of feel-good gaming, and although it's not maybe the longest game on my list, it's still definitely a good one. Next, we have the first competitive game on the list, and that is Splatoon 3. This right here was an absolute no-brainer. If you're looking for the best multiplayer game on the Switch, and a game you can sink a ton of hours into, then look no further. And on top of all of this, the game is going to be updated for the next 1.5 years with content updates, Splatfests, and I'm expecting probably also more competitive modes. I'll be surprised if there isn't. And while shooters aren't my typical love in gaming, this right here has my heart. Splatoon 3 has taken everything I loved about Splatoon 2 and made it even better. And I am such a fan of the different modes there are in the game. Like, for example, Turf War that involves covering the map in more of your color ink than the enemies. And also Tower Control, where you have to literally sit on a tower to try and move it to the enemy spawn. This to me is a game that will only get better with time as well. And at Christmas time, way more people will get the game, which means the matchmaking will be even better. I sometimes see the question asking me, do I think right now Splatoon 2 is worth it? And the answer is no. Splatoon 2 is receiving no more updates. It almost costs the same price as Splatoon 3, and every month the player base dwindles. So if you're thinking about getting a Splatoon game, the third one is your best bet. Next is Ooblets. This one was really hard. I knew I wanted to include a farming sim-like game, but the question was, which one do I pick? I had a few in consideration, like Stardew Valley. I had a few of the Ruin Factories shortlisted, and also Story of Seasons, but I settled for Ooblets. And don't come for the graphics of this game, because if you can sit and play Stardew, you can sit and play this too, okay? This game has the perfect mix between farming mechanics and not farming, making sure every single day in the game is jam-packed. Not only do you have to take care of the farm each day, which is your main way to make money as you can sell items in your shop, there's also a story to take part in as well. This involves traveling to different areas to reinstall the internet, or as they call it, the Ubernet. So what makes this farming sim so unique? It's these little things called Ooblets, and I love them. Not only are they absolutely adorable, they follow you around wherever you go, and they come in 3 different color variations per type of Ooblet. There's common, uncommon, and gleamies. Gleamies have a little rainbow that follows behind them when they run as well, and they're basically the Ooblet equivalent of shiny hunting. Each new area you travel to has a host of different Ooblets to discover. And each morning the game will tell you if you can find any uncommon or gleamy Ooblets, and it's up to you to go out and hunt them. Oh, and this game not only has seasonal events, but you can also dress your Ooblets up for each season. You use the Ooblets to help work on your farm and also dance battle. Now you see why I love this game. Yep, you heard that right. A turn-based dance battle system that uses cards, where each Ooblet you bring also brings along a unique set of cards to be played. I've had a great time playing this game so far. I can't wait to experience the Christmas event. And if you're on a budget and can't afford one of the AAA full-price Nintendo games, this is a great alternative. Next, we have a game I was heavily debating not including, and that's Breath of the Wild. Now, hear me out. The reason I was debating not including it is that the sequel is not that far away. But I decided to include it as, despite the fact we know a second one's coming, it is a direct sequel, meaning you will probably still need to play Breath of the Wild to enjoy Breath of the Wild 2, or Tears of Kingdoms Past. Breath of the Wild to me was the first Zelda game I truly fell in love with. Whilst I enjoyed many of the Toon Link games on my DS and Ocarina of Time on my 3DS, Breath of the Wild was the first in the series to make me full-on cry. Its story is all about piecing together what happened to land Hyrule in the state you can see it right now, and sees you doing everything you can to try and fix the past. The cutscenes in this game are so good, it makes it so hard not to fall in love with every single character you meet. And you feel like you have a connection to each and every one of them. And the gameplay itself is almost flawless. I'm still not the biggest fan of the weapons breaking, but I can put up with it for the rest of the game. The combat itself is buttery smooth and thoroughly enjoyable. And nothing beats that feeling of finding a new area of the map to explore that you've never seen before. And I love that besides the main story, which in itself is fantastic, there's so much else to do. There's loads of side quests to take on to help the locals, and plenty of hidden treasure to uncover. There's also a ton of shrines to take on as well, which I want to say I personally loved. I loved how varied the shrines were. Some of them were combat related, and others were different types of puzzles where you'd have to use the different abilities you'd gotten throughout the game to solve them. Not only are you guaranteed to get plenty of game time out of it, there's also a sequel coming in just a few months, so now is the perfect time to play it. And finally, we have a hidden gem on the Nintendo Switch that not enough people are talking about, and that's Beacon Pines. Not only is this the cheapest game on the entire list, It's also probably one of the most unique, as in this game you play as not only the narrator, but also the main character Luca, and you are in charge of the village's fate. In this game, Luca notices some strange goings on in the village, and somehow seems to be the only one taking notice. Through the use of this thing called charms, you take charge of the branching story. But it won't take you long to realize that most of the branches you come across don't have a happy ending. Through unearthing different charms, it's up to you to rewrite the story and unravel the mystery that is Beacon Pines. You will feel all of the emotions playing this, and it's also beautifully narrated. And one of the things I love is that whenever anything bad happens, instead of showing you a not so nice scene, it just fades the screen to black and has the narrator speak over it, so you can imagine it instead. So many people have already picked this up from a previous video I made and said they love it, so I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for a game that doesn't break the bank, but is still very good. Let me know any games you think I missed out in the comments down below. And if you want to see me rank some games I've recently played, click this link here. I'll see you next time. Bye!